Hey everyone, would you expose this person publicly to warn others, or keep it private and handle it yourself? Comment expose or private and explain. Now let's dive into the story. He was mid-laugh, fork in hand, a chunk of ribeye halfway to his mouth, when I slid the envelope across the white linen tablecloth. Right in front of him, no hesitation, just a calm little push. The room fell silent before I even opened my mouth. My name's Rachel. I'm 36 years old, live in Lexington, Kentucky, and I've been watching my brother-in-law ride his own ego like it's a damn parade float for the past decade. And tonight was his birthday dinner, his big 40th. Private room at the country club he co-owns. Big round table, crystal glasses, filet mignon, the whole damn thing. His buddies from his barbershop chain were there, loud and smug. My sister sat to his left, mostly quiet, mostly invisible. He was telling some story, twisting my sister's failed bakery into a punchline, again. Remember when she thought she could be the next Magnolia? He snorted, waving his knife like a wand. Dead weight with frosting! The table broke into laughter, some real, some nervous. She didn't flinch. She never does. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I leaned forward, rested my elbows on the table, and looked him dead in the eyes. They'll be visiting your shop tomorrow, I said. Calm, cold. State tax investigators. You might want to clear your morning. He froze, fork still in hand, bite still hanging. He blinked once, then again, like he didn't understand English. Then he coughed, hard, a dry, rattling choke that had him pounding his chest and reaching for water. His wife, my sister, just sat there, eyes on her lap. Silverware clattered across plates. Someone dropped a glass. Nobody moved. The envelope sat between us like a grenade. He reached for it like it might burn him. He didn't even open it. Didn't need to. He knew. Every inch of that thick, sealed packet screamed one thing. Proof. 1 hour earlier, he'd been the king of this damn table. Loud, smug, top of his game, telling stories, throwing shade, acting like my sister was lucky just to breathe his air. Now, he was choking on his steak, eyes darting between his friends like a caged animal. Nobody laughed. Nobody said a word. I pushed my chair back, stood up, and tossed my napkin on the plate. Happy birthday, I said. Then I walked out. He didn't even notice me leave. Nobody at that table did. Not at first. I walked out slow, heels echoing against the marble floor of the club hallway. My face was steady, but inside, my hands were shaking. An hour earlier, I'd been sitting 2 seats down from my sister, trying to swallow lukewarm wine and fake a smile for the guy we were all apparently here to worship. The room smelled like overpriced beef and too much cologne. White tablecloths, polished silverware, waitstaff standing in corners like statues. It was supposed to be classy, his 40th birthday bash. My sister had planned it all. The flower arrangements, the playlist, even the stupid little golf tea party favors. She'd been working on it for weeks, trying to make it perfect. He hadn't even said thank you. He just showed up and held court, laughing like a damn movie villain, talking about his growing shop locations, how nobody wants to work anymore, how he built everything from nothing, like my sister hadn't emptied her savings account twice to help him do it. Then came the toast. He stood up with his bourbon glass, cleared his throat like he was about to deliver some presidential speech. The room quieted. He grinned. I just want to thank everyone for coming, he said. It means a lot to be surrounded by real friends and family who haven't completely lost their minds chasing baking fantasies. Some people chuckled. He looked straight at her. Not everyone can sell cupcakes, I guess. But hey, someone's got to be the dead weight with frosting. The room exploded with laughter. Loud, choking, awkward. A few people actually clapped. My sister didn't look at him, didn't laugh, didn't cry. She just reached for her napkin, folded it slowly, and laid it on her plate. Her hands were steady. She stood up. Nobody said a word. She walked out. I watched her go, the back of her dress swaying like a flag being lowered. Not a single person moved. The birthday boy grinned, raising his glass higher. She's just tired, he said. Housewives these days, everything's a crisis. That's when I felt it, like something inside me cracked. I'd sat through a lot of his crap before, heard him tear her down in casual ways. You wouldn't get it, Rach. You don't have a husband, he once said, after mocking her for forgetting to switch laundry loads. But this was different. She'd planned every inch of that night. She'd tried to make him proud, and he turned her into a joke in front of a room full of people who wouldn't dare speak up. And she just walked away. Like that was normal. Like, this is what wives do. I looked around the table. His friends were already shifting the conversation back to business, golf scores, and bourbon brands. One of them, some guy with a slick haircut and too much cologne, leaned toward me and whispered, "She's sensitive, huh?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I felt heat rising in my chest, but my face stayed blank. I picked up my wine glass just to keep my hands busy. The whole thing was still moving, like the night hadn't taken a nosedive. Like she hadn't just vanished. And that's what got me the most. She walked out, and nobody stopped her. Not her husband, not a single friend, not even me. I just sat there, let it happen, until I didn't. I stared at my empty wine glass, still tasting the bitterness. My jaw was clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. Because here's the thing, none of this was new. That dinner didn't expose something fresh. It just dragged 10 years of buried crap into the light. I'd watched my sister prop that man up since they were 23, back when he was selling grilled cheese out of a food truck with a busted muffler and no permit. She handled the books. He handled the charm. That first truck failed. So did the second. He borrowed money from a guy in Indiana with no eyebrows and a limp. She co-signed. Then came the gastropub idea, took out a high-interest loan, rebranded it 3 times, and still tanked it. I remember helping her scrub grease off the kitchen walls the day they closed. She didn't cry. She just said, "At least we tried." But she never meant we. She meant him. She gave him every dollar she had, maxed out 4 cards, skipped baking school, which she'd wanted since we were kids. Said they'd revisit it once the barber shops were stable. The barber shops, his big win. A chain of 5, last I checked, all designed like some Instagram dream. Neon signs, whiskey for the clients, scented hot towels. He called it luxury grooming for real men. But behind the scenes, same mess. Vendors unpaid, taxes dodged, paychecks bounced. And at home, that's where it got ugly in quieter ways. He'd walk in and toss his keys on the counter like he was owed something just for showing up. The kids would scatter. She'd ask how his day went. He'd grunt, "Fine," then complain the house smelled like bread and failure. She never raised her voice. Not once. Even when he'd mock her in front of the kids, saying stuff like, "Maybe you'd understand business if you worked a real job," or "You wouldn't be tired if you did something during the day." I'd visit, and she'd brush it off, always with a soft little shrug. "He's just stressed." He didn't mean it. He's got a lot on his plate. But her voice would break sometimes, just a little. I got used to the calls, always starting the same, "Don't worry, I'm okay." Then long stretches of silence. No tears. Just heavy breathing on the other end while I stared at the ceiling, holding the phone like a lifeline. Once, I heard a door slam in the background, then her whispering, "Not now, please." She hung up a second later. Never explained, never brought it up again. I asked her once, just once, why she didn't leave. She smiled like I was the child and said, "Because I love him, and he needs someone to believe in him." That night at the country club, I realized something. She believed in him more than he ever believed in her. And when he stood there in his overpriced blazer, telling a room full of people that she was dead weight with frosting, it didn't just piss me off. It shook something loose. Because suddenly, I wasn't just angry for her. I was angry for every late-night phone call, every "Don't worry, I'm okay," every silent car ride back from another one of his failures. All of it came roaring back, not like a wave, like a punch. That was the moment I stopped waiting for her to fight back and decided I'd do it for her. I didn't wait for anyone to give me permission. When I got home from that dinner, I didn't cry, didn't rage. I opened my laptop and got to work. My job's in municipal finance. Not combat, but close enough. You learn real quick that behind every clean sidewalk and park renovation is a spreadsheet that smells like bullshit. I don't wear a badge, but I know how to follow paper trails better than half the auditors in this state. And I'd been seeing red flags for months. It started small, little things. My brother-in-law bragging about opening 2 new barbershop locations back to back. No loans, he said, just smart investing. Then I heard about this consulting firm that handled his expansion under his cousin Trey's name, who I swear once got arrested for selling fake sneakers out of his trunk. That cousin hadn't filed a tax return in 5 years, but now he's a business consultant? Please. I didn't say anything at first, just watched, listened. Then one day, my coworker showed me a vendor application that got flagged for sketchy numbers. A barbershop chain over-reporting inventory to qualify for a local development grant. Guess whose chain? I kept it casual, asked for the vendor names, checked the filings. Then I cross-referenced permits, city payments, tax IDs. One shop in Louisville had 3 different mailing addresses in 4 months. Another listed hair products in their cost of goods, but no receipts matched. Every answer led to another question. Every record was like wet newspaper, falling apart the second I touched it. People think finance is boring, that it's just numbers. But numbers don't lie. People do. And once you know what to look for, they practically tell on themselves. I knew what I was seeing. Inflated inventory claims, duplicate invoices, a ton of high-dollar equipment purchases going to shell companies. The deeper I dug, the louder the alarm got. Then came the cupcake joke. That night at the table when he called my sister dead weight with frosting, that was it. That's when I stopped being passive. That line flipped a switch. He wanted to humiliate her with his success? Fine, let's see what his success was made of. I called in a favor from someone at the state tax office, didn't give details, just asked what it'd take to look into a barbershop chain with too many moving parts and not enough receipts. She told me what to send. I already had it ready. The night after the party, I built the packet. Every shady permit, every forged invoice I could sniff out, every ghost vendor tied to Trey's fake consulting firm. I printed it, sealed it, and put it in my purse. No return address, just the truth. Stacked and stapled. I didn't know how or when I'd use it, but I knew I would. That envelope sat in my purse all through dinner. I'd meant to hand it to him after everyone left, somewhere quiet, maybe the parking lot. Maybe while he loosened his tie and gloated about the size of the steak he ordered. It wasn't supposed to be a show. But then he stood up again, glass in hand, big smile. This was after my sister walked out. After the joke, the laughter, the silence. She was gone, and the whole room had just reset like nothing happened. He cleared his throat, looked around like a politician about to announce his campaign. "I just want to give one last toast," he said, voice a little slurred from the bourbon, "to the one person who's had my back through all of it." There was a pause, a beat. For half a second, I thought maybe, just maybe, he meant her. But then he turned to his business partner, Darren. "To the real partner in this empire," he grinned. "We built it from scratch, brother." People clapped. Darren raised his glass, smug as hell. And I snapped. That was it. Not just because he left her out of the story, but because he erased her. She wasn't even a footnote in his success. All the years she spent covering for him, cooking while he made late-night business runs, scraping together grocery money so he could keep the lights on at his dream, all that counted for nothing. And the way he said real partner? Loud, proud, intentional. He knew exactly what he was doing. I didn't need a mic. I needed the right silence. So I waited. I let the toast finish, let the laughs die out, let the silverware hit plates again. Then I reached into my purse, pulled out the envelope, and slid it across the table toward him. No flourish, no speech, just one smooth motion. He was mid-sentence, saying something about opening a 6th location in the fall. The second his fingers touched the envelope, he went quiet. He looked down at it like it might explode. White label, no name. Just thick, heavy paper that didn't belong at a dinner table. I didn't say a word, but I watched his face, and I swear, for the first time all night, he looked scared. Because deep down, guys like him know when they've built their kingdom on wet sand. He didn't even open it. Didn't have to. He could feel the weight. Inside was everything. Unpaid sales tax reports going back 2 years, forged vendor invoices linked to Trey's fake consulting firm, inflated inventory claims tied to grant money, his whole empire, built on dirty numbers and borrowed names. I didn't out him to the room, didn't call him a fraud. I just slid the truth into his hands and let the silence eat him alive. He showed up at her bakery before the sun even cleared the windows. Didn't knock, didn't call ahead, just yanked the glass door open so hard the bell smacked against the frame. I was in the back room when I heard it. That voice I'd grown to hate over the years. Sharp, loud, panicked underneath all that fake authority. "What the hell did your sister give them?" I peeked out. He was standing dead center in the storefront, hands on the counter, face red like he'd sprinted there. She didn't even flinch, just blinked, calm as ever, and reached for another tray of muffins. "Maybe," she said, Don't put things in other people's names if you're not ready to be found out. He stared at her, jaw twitching, like he wanted to yell but didn't know how, without looking even more guilty. You have no idea what you just did, he hissed. She turned to him, slow and steady. No, she said, you have no idea what I've been watching you do. Then she walked into the kitchen and left him standing there. I didn't move either. I just watched him from behind the door, shoulders heaving, hands clenched, eyes darting like he was looking for a way to undo the last 24 hours. He left a minute later, didn't slam the door, just slipped out like a balloon that had lost all its air. The fallout wasn't instant, but it came fast. First, it was the pacing. He spent the next few days on the phone from his office, then the kitchen, then the garage, pacing back and forth like he could outrun the storm. I stopped by once and found him standing at the window with 3 cell phones on the counter, none of them ringing. He didn't say hi, just stared straight ahead and muttered, "They're not going to find anything solid." He was wrong. By day 3, the state had called. By day 5, they visited, showed up in dark clothes, badges visible, clipboards in hand. They walked through the shops, asked questions, took copies, took notes. His staff looked like they'd seen ghosts. His business partner, Darren? Gone. Wouldn't answer calls. Socials wiped. Office emptied overnight. I heard he filed paperwork to separate from the company, blamed internal mismanagement and unauthorized filings. My brother-in-law tried to stay composed, wore his button-downs, still posted online like everything was fine, but his voice cracked when he spoke. His laugh disappeared. And my sister? She hummed. Did the dishes like she had all the time in the world. Floated through the house like someone took a 100-pound weight off her back. She didn't gloat, didn't bring it up, just moved lighter. There was a moment, small, quiet, when I passed her in the hallway. She didn't say a word, just smiled. Not a grin, not a smirk. Something softer, stronger, like she finally remembered who she was before he made her forget. And every time he snapped at a lawyer or slammed his laptop shut, that smile grew steadier. His grip was slipping, and she didn't have to lift a finger. He stopped talking loud. That's the first thing I noticed. The man who used to hold court in every room, walk in like he owned the air and expected applause, he started walking slower, shoulders down, voice low, like the volume knob finally broke. I ran into one of their neighbors outside the grocery store. She leaned in, lowered her voice. "Is everything okay over there?" "He looks tired." I smiled, tight-lipped. "He's adjusting." Truth was, the entire neighborhood could feel the shift. The roar was gone, and the silence left a hole. His barbershop started thinning out. Clients stopped showing up like they used to. I drove past one on a Saturday afternoon. Empty chairs, a bored receptionist scrolling on her phone, no buzz of clippers. Then a supplier filed a small claim suit, unpaid invoices going back 8 months. A few vendors pulled out entirely. No more free product samples, no bulk discounts. One guy even showed up and repossessed a display shelf from the front window. He tried to spin it, told his staff it was a temporary setback, but they saw the writing. A few quit. Quietly, no scenes. At home, my sister stayed steady. She opened early, came home late, worked weekends, not because she had to, but because she could. One afternoon, my niece sat at the counter peeling an orange while I helped pack up bakery boxes. She looked at me and said, "Dad doesn't yell anymore. He just sits in the garage with the lights off." That hit harder than I expected. I walked by the garage later that week, slow and quiet. She was right. He sat in the driver's seat of his SUV, car off, door cracked open, no music, no phone, just sitting there like he didn't know where else to go. And for once, I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt tired. One night, I stopped by the house to drop off a box of labels she'd ordered for the bakery. He was at the dining table, papers everywhere, calculator in one hand, the other pressed to his forehead. I paused in the doorway. He didn't notice me at first. He was whispering numbers to himself, punching buttons, then starting over. His hand shook every time he hit equals. When he finally looked up, his eyes were bloodshot. "You don't understand," he said. "This family depends on me." That line, that damn line. I dropped the box on the table harder than I meant to. "No," I said. "This family survived you." He blinked, like I'd slapped him. "You think we needed your ego? Your fake success? You think your kids wanted haircuts named after whiskey flights? Or a dad who couldn't go one night without turning dinner into a goddamn business seminar? He didn't answer. I leaned in. She carried your failures for 10 years. She cleaned up after your messes. You owe her more than an apology. You owe her peace. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. That was the quiet I'd been waiting for. Not the silence of guilt. The silence of being cornered by truth. He didn't say another word after I laid it out, just stared at the papers like maybe the numbers would rearrange themselves and save him. I walked out, got in my car, and didn't even start the engine right away. Just sat there, hands on the wheel, breathing, because I couldn't stop thinking about the early years. I was 19 when they got married. She was 23, fresh out of school, full of plans. She had this little notebook she carried around, full of bakery names, color swatches, sample menus. She'd let me taste frosting samples and scribble ideas with her. Then she met him. He was all charm and ambition, knew how to make people feel seen, like they were part of something big. She fell hard. He'd say things like, "Once I make it, you'll get your bakery." And she believed him, not because she was naive, but because she wanted to. He came home drunk a lot back then, not falling down wasted, just that arrogant, braggy kind of drunk. "Babe, I talked my way out of another permit fine today," he'd slur. Hustling the system, that's how winners move. She'd be cleaning up a broken dish or paying a bounced check and still find it in her to say, "I'm proud of you." And I'd sit there, biting my tongue, wondering what the hell she was proud of. One night, he spilled beer all over her recipe journal. She cried. Not loud, not a meltdown. Just these quiet tears, wiping pages that were already smudged beyond saving. He laughed, actually laughed, called it a sign she needed to update her brand. She apologized for the journal, for the reaction, for everything. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Because she didn't. She never yelled, never snapped, never even raised her voice. She bent every single day. I asked her once, "Why do you let him get away with it?" She smiled at me like I was the one who didn't get it. "Some people fight loud," she said. "Some fight by staying." At the time, I thought that was weakness. Now, I'm not so sure. Staying quiet, enduring all that mess, putting up with his noise, that took grit. But even steel cracks. She cracked that night. At the country club, when she stood up, folded her napkin, and walked away like she was done playing housemaid in his performance. And that silence she left behind? That was louder than any scream she could have let loose. So I answered for both of us. I brought the receipts. I ended the show. And for once, he was the one cleaning up. It didn't take long for the cracks to turn into collapses. A few weeks later, 2 of the shops had padlocks on the doors. Licensing issues, the notices said. But we both knew what that really meant. Too many questions, not enough real answers. One car gone. The sleek black one he always bragged about. I saw it parked at the used lot off Route 60 with a price tag in the window. He didn't post about that on social media. He looked smaller every time I saw him. Thinner, too. Like all the noise he'd fed on was gone, and now there was nothing keeping him standing upright. But her? My sister opened her bakery again. Not the same storefront from before. This one was smaller, tucked next to a nail salon in a strip mall. No fancy signage. But it was hers. I stopped by after work one Friday, and she was wiping down the counter, humming to herself like she used to when we were kids. There were 3 cakes in the display, 6 loaves of bread, and a tray of lemon bars that tasted like something out of a damn magazine. Behind the register, she had a shoebox tucked neatly on the shelf, labeled in black marker, "Earned." Inside, receipts. Every single one logged, filed, color-coded. She caught me looking at it and smiled. "No gray areas," she said. "No one else's name on anything. Just mine." We sat on her porch that night, sipping sweet tea out of mismatched mugs. The air smelled like yeast and clean wood. She pulled her legs up under herself and leaned back in the chair. There was something easy in the way she moved now, like her spine had finally straightened. "You didn't just save me," she said. "You reminded me I was never the problem." I didn't say anything, just nodded. Because that was it. That right there. Not revenge, not justice. Not dragging his name through the mud or counting every dollar he lost. It was her sitting there, not afraid of her own voice anymore. It was that shoebox, that little handwritten label. It was the way her kids started laughing louder at home, the way they asked to help in the kitchen. He still existed, sure. Still in the house, still pretending he could fix things, still calling lawyers. But no one looked to him anymore. The center of gravity had shifted, and in that shift, something solid started growing. Not flashy, not loud, but real. He never apologized, not once. And I didn't need him to. He barely spoke now anyway. The man who used to crack jokes before his coffee, toss out insults like confetti, now barely cleared his throat in a room. But the silence? It wasn't loaded. It wasn't that fake, seething quiet he used to weaponize. This one was hollow, powerless. I'd see him sometimes in passing, walking from the garage, phone to his ear, talking to no one. The same guy who once bragged about skipping lines, cutting corners, working the system like it owed him. Now he flinched when the mail came. Mom used to say you can measure a man by what he laughs at. He used to laugh at my sister's dreams. Now he doesn't laugh at all. And that to me was justice. Not the kind you scream about, not courtrooms or headlines, just balance. The night I slid that envelope across the table, I stopped being a guest at his show. I became the narrator because I didn't throw a drink, didn't make a scene. I just laid out the truth, right there under the chandelier, and let him sit in it. And she, my sister, she never thanked me out loud. Didn't need to. I hear it in the way she hums while rolling dough at sunrise, in the way she stocks her shelves like every item matters, in the way her kids hug her a little tighter now, like they know she stayed for them but stood up for herself. That's the thing about fighting. There are a lot of ways to do it. Some people throw punches, some people post rants. Me? That night, all I needed was an envelope, sealed, stamped, sent.